Good evening. It's Tuesday, the 4th of March, and here's what's making news around the world on World News Tonight. Pope's help. Pope Francis suffers respiratory failure amidst ongoing pneumonia recovery. Aid halted. Trump suspends military support after heated clash with Zelensky. Hoops and hope. New Jersey high school star shatters records while undergoing chemotherapy.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight with Amarsha Fernando.
Good evening once again. The Vatican announced that Pope Francis suffered 2 episodes of acute respiratory insufficiency due to mucus buildup, making another setback in his recovery from double pneumonia.
Pope Francis is back on a ventilator in a hospital in Rome after experiencing 2 episodes of acute respiratory distress on Monday. According to a Vatican official later the same day, the Pope's acute respiratory distress had stabilized and the 88-year-old pontiff was under careful observation. Pope Francis was admitted to the hospital on February 14th due to a respiratory infection with pneumonia detected in both lungs. The latest setback means the Pope will miss the procession and Mass on Wednesday, marking the first day of Lent.
Dozens survived an avalanche in the remote Himalayas of northern India, with rescuers recovering 46 people from debris after it struck a construction camp near Mana village on the Tibet border.
Buried under snow for over 2 days, 46 construction workers were pulled to safety after a massive avalanche struck Uttarankhand's Mana village. But not everyone made it, as 8 workers lost their lives. The workers, many of them migrant laborers, had been constructing a highway when the avalanche struck. With no time to evacuate, they sought shelter in metal containers, an instinctive decision that likely saved their lives. Rescue teams, battling deep snow and freezing conditions, worked tirelessly to reach the trapped survivors. Avalanches and landslides are common in the Himalayas, but experts warn they are becoming more frequent and severe. Research shows glaciers in the region are melting 65% faster than in previous decades, increasing the risk of deadly disasters. In 2021, more than 200 people died when a collapsing glacier triggered devastating floods. Experts say climate change is accelerating these threats, putting millions in mountain communities at risk. As survivors recover, India's military is still searching for those missing in the snow, hoping to bring more people home.
China's leadership is convening today for the 2 sessions, its largest political events of this year, to address US President Donald Trump's latest tariffs amidst an already sluggish economy.
On Tuesday, China begins its largest political event of the year with the annual plenary sessions of the National People's Congress and of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, collectively known as the 2 sessions. Much of the discussion is expected to focus on countermeasures against Trump's tariff war. On top of the 10% tariff U.S. President Donald Trump initially imposed on China, another 10% tariff was added on top, as the U.S. leader felt that not enough was being done to stop the flow of fentanyl into the United States. This brings the combined tariff to 20% on Chinese imports since the start of the Trump administration. According to China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson last Friday, Beijing will seek necessary measures to firmly safeguard its interests. According to experts, China could respond to Trump's tariffs by targeting American agricultural products and food. As China is a major importer of American agricultural products, such retaliatory measures would greatly affect American farmers and exporters alike. With the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference opening the 2 sessions on Tuesday, the top political advisory body will first discuss countermeasures against the tariffs. They're also set to discuss economic policies as the country sees an economic downturn. During the 2 sessions, an economic growth target of around 5% is expected to be announced, and a policy of replacing old consumer goods with new ones will be further expanded to increase domestic demand. A special national bond issuance is also expected to be used to stimulate the economy. Meanwhile, the National People's Congress on Wednesday is expected to present China's national administration direction.
In a major shift, President Donald Trump has halted military aid to Ukraine following the clash between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, deepening tensions between the once close allies.
U.S. President Donald Trump has paused military aid to Ukraine following his clash with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky last week. That's according to a White House official who, speaking on the condition of anonymity, said, quote, "President Trump has been clear that he is focused on peace. We need our partners to be committed to that goal as well. We are pausing and reviewing our aid to ensure that it is contributing to a solution." The White House had no immediate comment on the scope and amount of aid affected or how long the pause would last. The Pentagon could not provide further details. The move deepens the rift that is opened between the two one-time allies. It comes after Trump upended U.S. policy on Ukraine and Russia upon taking office in January and taking a friendlier approach to Moscow, and after an explosive confrontation with Zelensky in the White House on Friday, in which Trump criticized him for being insufficiently grateful for Washington's backing in the war with Russia.
You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards, but without us, you don't have any cards.
Since Russia's invasion nearly 3 years ago, the U.S. Congress has approved $175 billion in total assistance for Ukraine, according to the nonpartisan Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. The announced pause in military aid applies mainly to aid that has been previously approved but not yet dispersed. Trump has not approved any new aid since his term began. However, he suggested on Monday that a deal to open up Ukraine's minerals to U.S. investment could still be on the table.
Mr. President, is the Ukraine minerals deal now dead, or can it be revived? What's your...
Well, I'll let you know. We're making a speech. You probably heard about it tomorrow night, so I'll let you know tomorrow night. But no, I don't think so.
The Trump administration views a minerals deal as America's way of earning back some of the aid given to Ukraine since Russia invaded 3 years ago. On Monday, Trump also described it as a great deal for us and suggested he'd give an update on the situation during a speech to a joint session of Congress set for Tuesday night.
President Donald Trump's long-threatened tariff against Canada and Mexico finally went into effect, putting global markets on edge and setting up costly retaliations by the United States' North American allies.
But very importantly, tomorrow tariffs 25% on Canada and 25% on Mexico, and that'll start.
U.S. President Donald Trump said on Monday that 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico will go into effect on Tuesday.
On the tariffs, is there any room left for Canada and Mexico to make a deal before midnight?
No room left for Mexico or for Canada. No, the tariffs, they're all set. They go into effect tomorrow.
U.S. stocks plunged after Trump said there was no room left for a deal that would avert the tariffs by halting the flow of fentanyl into the United States. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum on Monday told reporters, quote, "We maintained communication. We have made the agreements and the necessary coordination." But she said the decision to impose tariffs rested with Trump and said Mexico was ready with a Plan B, C, and D.
Plan C, Plan D.
Trump on Sunday lauded a decline in illegal border crossings last month in a post on Truth Social, claiming they were the lowest ever recorded. But Trump has cited insufficient progress in reducing fentanyl overdose deaths. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Sunday told reporters Canada should not be blamed for the amount of fentanyl in the U.S.
The facts establish very clearly that Canada is not an issue in terms of source of illegal fentanyl into the United States. We had about less than 1% when we first started talking about this many months ago. That number is significantly lower than that, even now.
Economists say that if Trump imposes 25% tariffs, which cover more than $900 billion worth of annual imports from Canada and Mexico, it would deal a serious setback to the highly integrated North American economy. They say tariffs would spark major increases in the prices of imports, such as aluminum and lumber from Canada, and fruits, vegetables, beer, and electronics from Mexico. But the largest sector by far to be affected by new tariffs would be autos and auto parts. Sheinbaum has said Trump's tariffs would cost 400,000 U.S. jobs and drive up prices for American consumers.
Let's take a short commercial break. More world news right after this. And welcome back. Firefighters in Japan are battling the country's worst wildfire in 50 years, which has left 1 dead and forced nearly 4,000 evacuations near Ofinato.
The fire has already damaged at least 80 buildings and forced nearly 4,000 residents to evacuate. Around 2,000 firefighters, including crews deployed from Tokyo, are working around the clock. Helicopters from the military and fire departments are battling the flames from air, but the fire remains uncontrolled. This disaster follows Japan's hottest summer on record last year and an exceptionally dry winter. Ofinato recorded just 2.5 millimeters of rain in February, shattering a record set in 1967 and well below the monthly average of 41 millimeters. Local businesses have also been impacted. A cement company has shut down operations in the evacuation zone, while a confectionery factory warns that production may halt if conditions worsen. Amid the crisis, baseball star Roki Sasaki, a native of Ofinato, has pledged 10 million yen and donated 500 sets of bedding. Sasaki, who lost his family in the 2011 tsunami, hopes his support will help his hometown recover.
Tropical cyclone Alfred has been upgraded to a Category 2 storm, prompting a cyclone warning from Double Island Point in Queensland to Yamba in New South Wales. The warning covers major population centres including Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Byron Bay and Ballina as the storm intensifies.
Tropical cyclone Alfred has strengthened overnight, now classified as a Category 2 storm with sustained winds up to 95 km per hour and gusts reaching up to 130 km per hour. The system is currently sitting about 560 km east of Brisbane, with landfall expected between the Sunshine Coast and Brisbane late Thursday or early Friday. The Australian Bureau of Meteorology warns that the biggest threats include destructive winds, torrential rain leading to flash flooding and dangerously high tides. Authorities are closely monitoring northern New South Wales, where areas like Byron Bay, Lismore, Yamba and Grafton may also feel the cyclone's impact. Queensland residents are taking precautions, securing their homes and preparing for potential power outages. Cyclone Alfred is the first to make landfall in the region in 50 years, since the devastating cyclones Zoe and Wanda in 1974.
2 people were killed and 10 others injured when a vehicle drove into a pedestrian area in Mannheim in West Germany, prompting the arrest of a 40-year-old suspect showing the signs of mental illness.
A car ploughed into a crowd in German city Mannheim on Monday, killing at least 2. The deadly incident overshadowed carnival celebrations in the region, where police had been on alert for attacks. Police spokesperson Stefan Wilhelm said several people were seriously injured. Police have detained the driver and said he acted alone, with no broader threat seen for the public. An eyewitness said people were lying on the ground at the scene and at least 2 people were being resuscitated, while local news site Mannheim 24 reported that a black car drove at high speed into a group of people travelling from the central Paradeplatz Square towards the city's landmark water tower. It was unclear whether the driver acted deliberately or if there was any connection to Germany's carnival celebrations. The annual event culminates on Rose Monday with a number of parades, although not in Mannheim. Security has been a key concern in Germany following a string of violent attacks in recent months. This includes deadly car rammings in Munich last month and Magdeburg in December, as well as a stabbing in Mannheim in May 2024.
Taiwan semiconductor company TSMC plans to make a fresh $100 billion investment in the United States that involves building additional chip facilities there in the coming years.
Donald Trump says chip giant TSMC has agreed to invest $100 billion in building 5 new facilities in the US. He made the announcement Monday, standing alongside the boss of the Taiwan firm, C.C. Wei.
This $100 billion in new investment will go into building 5 cutting-edge fabrication facilities in the great state that we just discussed, Arizona, and will create thousands of jobs, many thousands of jobs, and high-paying jobs. In total, today's announcement brings Taiwan semiconductor investments to about $165 billion they've started already.
TSMC is the world's largest contract chip maker and a supplier to major US firms like Nvidia. It already has facilities in Arizona and says the new plan will create 40,000 construction jobs over the next 4 years. The company didn't give a detailed timeline for the investments. Trump said the deal was vital to making the US less reliant on imported chips.
We must be able to build the chips and semiconductors that we need right here in American factories with American skill and American labor. And that's exactly what we're doing. As you know, Taiwan pretty much has a monopoly on that market. And I think pretty much is not a term that's even appropriate. They do have a monopoly. And this is a tremendous move by the most powerful company in the world.
For Trump, the announcement is meant to show he is fulfilling election pledges to create jobs and support industry. It follows a string of similar announcements, including a promise by Apple to invest $500 billion in the US over 4 years. Now TSMC might also have a hand in saving troubled US rival Intel. Trump administration officials say they have spoken to the firm about taking a stake in the US chipmaker's factory unit. On Monday, TSMC would only say that it looked forward to discussing ways to bolster the technology industry. Shares in the firm fell around 2% in early trade Tuesday following the previous day's news.
Let's take a short commercial break. More world news right after this. And welcome back. Amsterdam's Van Gogh Museum has teamed up with Lego to create a build-your-own version of Vincent van Gogh's sunflowers, aiming to introduce more people to the artist's life and work.
For the first time ever, Vincent van Gogh's famous sunflowers can be built from over 2,600 Lego pieces. Designed in collaboration with the Van Gogh's Museum, the new set lets a fan create a three-dimensional version of the 1889 masterpiece. Complete with adjustable petals and a specially designed brick featuring Van Gogh's signature, the Lego sunflowers captures the spirit of the original painting. Lego designers say translating Van Gogh's signature brushstrokes into brick form was a unique challenge. For Lego and Van Gogh's fans alike, this is more than just a toy, it's a new way to experience art one brick at a time.
A Lithuanian solo rover just days from completing his journey from the US to Australia was rescued from the Coral Sea after being caught in a tropical cyclone Alfred.
Daring rescue on the stormy seas off the coast of Australia this morning, cutting short an attempt at a cross-ocean rowing voyage. Sailors of the Australian Navy braving dangerous swells to save the stranded adventurer, Lithuanian Aurimas Makis, taken aboard the warship for medical assessment. The man who made it nearly all the way across the Pacific Ocean on a rowboat all alone. His 7,500-mile journey spoiled by a tropical cyclone on Friday that left him stranded in the Coral Sea for 3 days. His small custom rowboat rocked by huge waves and 50-mile-per-hour winds, forcing him to activate an emergency beacon, the rescue authorities said, just days before he was set to reach his destination of Brisbane. In an Instagram post just before the storm hit, Makis wrote, "The next day is crucial for me, about to get maximum power from a passing typhoon." A follow-up video showing just how treacherous the conditions were. Makis set off from San Diego 4.5 months ago on a journey to row from California to Australia without stopping. His reason? To honor Ukrainians who've died in the Russian invasion of their country, according to Lithuanian media. Documenting his adventure along the way, encountering everything from late-night seabird visitors to dolphins and even sharks. The non-stop solo row across the Pacific is a feat only a few people have ever accomplished. British rower Peter Bird is considered to have been the first, making his voyage in 1983, even though he was towed the last 30 miles to the Australian mainland. In 2015, another Brit, John Beeden, made the first fully completed journey from San Francisco to the Australian city of Cairns. And in 2023, Australian Michelle Lee became the first woman to do it. Makis thwarted by Mother Nature, just days away from joining that elite club.
A New Jersey high school basketball player is breaking school scoring records while undergoing chemotherapy, turning his battle into inspiration for others facing their own challenges.
Ridgewood High School senior Johnny Jackson, a.k.a. Johnny Buckets, is doing what he always does, torch opponents to the tune of 31 points. What makes the barrage of threes and deft finishes around the hoop all the more impressive, he was diagnosed with stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma just 7 months ago. At 18 years old, no one would have blamed Jackson or any cancer patient for sitting out a season. But as we quickly learned about this natural-born hooper, that was never in the cards. For his longtime coach, Mike Troy, his expectations were checked at first. But then he saw Johnny at the first practice of the season. Johnny completed his 12th and final chemotherapy treatment. Cheered on by all his teammates, coaches, and family. Days later, the guard became the first player in school history to surpass 2,000 points for his career. An unbridled joy for player, school, and this northern New Jersey community. Support also flooding in from all over the sports world, from former NBA player Matt Barnes.
And understand that God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldier.
To current global superstar Steph Curry.
And I just wish you well, keep fighting, man, and just know we're all rooting for you.
Though Johnny's already discovering how his bravery and messaging is flowing out to others, too. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, Johnny rang the bell, signifying his cancer has been conquered. But the power of that moment was also another beat on his basketball journey.
Well, that's a wrap from all of us on World News Tonight. Up next, Anuradhi Vikramasinghe is standing by for the nightly business report. I'm Marsha Fernando, and we leave you with the vibrant visuals of Croatians crowding the streets for the Rijeka Carnival. Thank you for watching and have a great night.